There we go. All right, okay. I love the funky design here. By the way, we'll be doing data visualization basics next week. If you want to come to that, Julie Loy, our reference instruction librarian, and myself will be doing a presentation on that. So just a little side segue. All right, so what are we going to do today? We're just to talk briefly about why cleaning data is important, reasons that you have. Then we're going to look at some basic tactics, if you will, steps that you can use to clean your data. Like I said before, this is an introductory class. We're not going to get very deep into working with data sets. We're just going to be looking at doing some basic functions such as removing blank rows, cells, and duplicate values, that sort of thing. We're going to use some basic text functions to format the data, remove duplicates. That's always a common problem. We're going to import data from an external source, and then we're going to separate that data and turn it into something quite comprehensible. All right, so, why do we clean data? I mean, you heard that phrase, garbage in, garbage out. You can't really do anything. You can't do data analysis. You can't make extrapolations from your data if you're working with data that's unrefined, the data that's dirty, the data that simply has too many problems with it. So you can have data that's unfinished, unreliable, inaccurate, false, or even non-relevant to what you want to do. So dirty data will need to be restored, remodeled, or removed in some way. The result is it's easier to read. You can have accurate results coming out of that for your data analysis, and then you can make better decisions based on that data analysis. So if you're not familiar with Hadley Wickham's work, I really recommend taking a look at some of this stuff. He works in the programming and statistical language R. He's a big fan of that. He's written quite a bit about data science books and that. In this particular case, he talked about data, tidy data in a particular article, and he said, you have to work towards some type of form of tidy data. So, here is a standard way of mapping the meaning of a data set to its structure, right? So you're looking at the data and you say, how can I put some sort of structure in it? So one of the things that you talk about when you're working with data is that you want to look at the types of variables that you're using. So in tidy data, you're using each variable forms a particular column. You have each observation that forms a row, and then each cell is a single measurement. I mean, you think it's pretty common sense and straightforward and all that, but if you go out searching for other databases and if those data sets are quite unstructured, then you can have weird stuff like having two variables in a particular column or observations, more than one observation, a particular row. So it can get kind of messy. So this is a nice little diagram here showing, each column is a variable and then each row is an observation. So when you're looking at data and you're working with data, you have to be cognizant of what it is that you're looking at. So today we're just, we're going to have a data set, we're going to clean it up, do some stuff and all that. It's really great. But there's a whole step before that. You have to, when you're designing your project, what sort of data am I going to collect? What variables am I going to look at? That sort of thing. So you have to sort of do a little bit planning ahead, and how well you plan ahead is going to determine, how much data cleaning you're going to have to do. Now, if that's your own project, if it's not your own project, someone else, you're using someone else's data set, then you're going to have to make decisions on what it is that you're importing from those particular data sets, wherever they're coming from. So looking at some basic terms, you know, you want to put things into a data matrix, the matrix which stores data for you. So in our case, we'll be looking at tables as our way to go. We have observations. So an observation is a case of the data being collected. For example, each student in a class would be an observation. So you want to look at things, observations and variables moving forward. So a variable is an attribute or characteristic of the observation recorded in our data. So if we were looking at students in our class, we could look at a characteristic or a case, you know, of eye color, for an example, being a variable. And of course, there are different types of variables that you can have. So the most common ones that are the continuous variable. So that's a numerical variable that takes on real number values. So for example, temperature is one. 75 degrees or 75.5 degrees, that sort of thing. You can scale on as you go forward. If you look at a discrete variable, it's a numeric value that only takes on integer values. So, you know, each day of the calendar year, you know, what day is it in the calendar year? Oh, it's day number 46, that sort of thing. It's not day 46.5, for example. It's very discrete. You have a nominal variable as a categorical variable that has no natural order. So, you know, anyone's zip code, there's no reason why I have to have my particular one as 21045, for example. It can be whatever it is. And then there's ordinal variables, which are categorical variables that have a particular ordering. So in the case of grade level, you know, you're in grade 11, I'm in grade 12. That means I'm further along. We can intuit from that some information. So that's very general overview of variables. I mean, there's many different kinds of variables and all that. So you sort of have to understand when you are working with data sets, you have to be cognizant of what type of variables are being collected, have been collected within the data set, whether they're discrete variables or continuous. All right, so that is that. And now we are going to go into, I should mention, let me share my screen here. I've given the handouts of what I'm going to go through today. So you can follow along if you want. There's one called the Data Cleaning with Excel, which is basically the program for today. I'm just going to walk through the various steps we can do to really work on improving the look of a data set and quality of a data set. I also have 2 files, data sets that you can use as well. Again, they're listed in the chat if you want to take a look at that. All right, so what we're going to do, so I'm going to open up my first data set here. All right, so I opened up this particular data set and I'm taking a look at it. And first thing we do when we look at that, we just want to see what does it cover, what does it not cover, that sort of thing. So you're looking at this particular set. And if I can just do this for a second.
Kevin, did you say that you put the file in the chat?
Yes, there should be
seeing that.
There's 3 files in the chat. Let me, Let me just have to check on a particular file here for just a second. I'm sorry about that. Let's see. All right. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to push this together. So here you have a particular set, data set. It looks like it's musicians, artists, and their albums, that sort of thing. Let me just check also. Okay, I have some folks saying they cannot see it in the chat room. Let's see. Let me load them up again. Okay. Oh, I'm getting network disconnect here. Let's see. There you go. And the last one is, all right, here we go. All right, so there should be 3 files that you have. So one's import text, another one's cleaning data raw. And do you have cleaning data with Excel handout? Can everyone see that? Okay, I'm not hearing from anyone, so I'm assuming that's the way to go. All right, so let us get back into that. All right. All right, let's start at the beginning here. So we have a particular set. I've opened here. I think everyone can see this now. All right, so moving onward, we have the set. It comes in, we've imported it. So we're going to take a look at it. It looks like it's albums of musicians, different artists and genre and that sort of thing. So the first thing we want to do is we sort of want to take a quick peek at it. And what we can do is we need to separate these columns out so we can look at more clearly. So I just selected the particular columns here, A to F, and then I double clicked on that. And now we have open quite a bit so we can see what we're looking at. Always like to look at a data set whenever I get one. just to see how it's organized, how perfect, if you will, the data is. So I take a look at this and I see some interesting things here. Notice, oh yeah, look at this. We got some spacing in here. And we have under artists here, we have different capitalization. We have spacing issues too, and just weird stuff listed in here as well. So I look over at genres here, and I also see some designations where you have hard rock pop or hard rock blues, that sort of thing. So I have to look at that and I have to make decisions. Do I want to keep that as hard rock? Do I want to keep it as pop? That sort of thing. So I look across here and also see the total sales listed up here. So that's general quick overview of this set. So how can we start? What should we start with first? Well, basically you should start with removing the blank rows, the cells, and duplicate values. So what we can do here is we can go to the ribbon homepage here. So we're going to do a lot of work in this ribbon here. And we're going to go and we're going to look at find and select. Now, I'm sure all of you have used find and select, but I'm wondering if how many of you use the different features other than what you normally do with find and select and replace and that sort of thing. So we're going to look at some things that aren't, some functions that aren't commonly used. So here in this case, we want to go to find and select, and we want to go down to special. And we have this little box that pops up. So we have all the different things that we can look at here. Right now, we're just interested in cleaning up our blanks, getting rid of those. So I'm going to select blanks here. And I'm going to go OK. And it goes, oh, hey, wonderful. So we've got those blanks selected. Now what we want to do with them is we want to delete them. So we go up here under cells, and we have that nice little arrow. So I'm going to click on that. Now you have a number of different options here. Don't delete the cells because everything will disappear, especially if you selected everything in that. So what we want to do is we just want to select delete the sheet row. So we're going to click on that, and boom, they've all disappeared, and now everything is much more organized in that sense. So one very quick way that you can get rid of your rows that are blank is to do that. What we can do is we can do Control. If you want to select your entire set, you can always do Control A. So we want to remove the formatting of this, okay? I don't know about you, but this red up here looks kind of weird, you know, and quite often when you get, you're importing data sets, you're not going to want to have all that formatting that's within it. So you want to do this. So you want to go up, select all, make sure you've got it. You can select your columns, each one, and drag, or you can do select all, which is what I did. And what you want to do is you want to go up to clear over here under editing. And we're going to clear formats. There you go. And you'll notice right away. We've got rid of that red, and I'm sure we've got rid of a lot of other stuff too, but we can get into that in a bit. So I look at this again, I'm sort of dealing with a clean slate here. And if I go over here, I notice that, oh gee, total sales, I got rid of my dollar sign in here. So what I can do is I can just do very quickly select that and then head straight up here. And I can select a particular currency. In this case, I'll just do English dollars right there. And there we go. So we reinstated a little bit of the formatting that was there originally. All right, so we're going to deselect that and move back this way. So our next step is we're going to use some text functions to format the data. And what we're going to be looking for is we're going to be looking for inconsistencies with white space and cases. So again, this is another couple of common problems that you'll get with data if it hasn't been formatted properly. So the first thing we do is we've got to identify which column that we need to do some work on here. So I noticed here, column C, we've got a couple of issues. We've got capitalization, we got weird spaces and that sort of thing. So there's a couple ways we can clean this up. So one thing I'm going to do, and this is something that's always a good tactic, is you always can create a separate column. So I right-clicked on the column and I clicked on Insert, and I have column D. It's moved in between C and the one column coming after that. So I can work within this column and see what I can do here. So dealing with white spaces, I want to get rid of these white spaces, whether at the beginning of a cell entry or at the end or somewhere in between, and we've got a bunch of those here. So what I can do is I can take this here, this is this column here, and what I can do is that I have the trim function that I can use. So I'm going to do equal sign and then trim. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, in this case, C2, like that. So I'm taking this and I put this out. Now, you'll notice, right, the function actually did work, but there really wasn't anything there that we could see anyway that needed to be cleaned up. So it seems to have not worked, but actually it has. And what I can do is I can go here and I can double click. If I move my mouse right over here, I got this plus sign. If I double click that, it will go the entire column and remove the spacing. So let's see if we scroll down here just a little ways. You'll notice that we have solved a major problem. Yay. All right. Now, the second problem that we have to deal with is how do we deal with the upper cases and the lower cases? So what we could do if we wanted to go back here, I can actually undo what I've done. Do that. So I'm going to clear that out again. And this time I have three ways that I can work with cases. One is to use the upper function. So in this case, I will begin to type in upper, and you'll notice I got a couple of different varieties. I'm just going to do upper. I double click on that. It's going to ask me, okay, what do you want to do? And I'm going to do C2 again. And again, you don't notice. So I'm going to go over here and voila. So that is that. And if you can do it with the lower, and you'll get the same results. The lower, but with lowercase, I should say. Now, with the best way to probably do this is to use the proper function here. So how do we do that? We type in fields, we type in proper. And we do C2 once again. And what it does is puts the words in a more English looking, better looking format. So in this case, the nouns are capitalized. So we do this, we realize, oh yeah, this is great. We have something that looks much more the way we want it to look at. So this is very interesting. However, we do need to worry about the spacing issues that we have here, don't we? So what we can do is we can actually combine the trim function with the proper function. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave this proper here. We're going to do trim. I'm going to put C2 there. And you'll notice I got a little red designation here saying, this isn't going to work. So we'll go over here. And there, so like any sort of work, you're going to have to, any sort of formula, you're going to have to make sure that the right number of parentheses are listed here. So we're going to do this. And let's see what happens. Okay. And I do that. And there you go. So the proper function is working, and it's saying, hey, let's make sure we don't need capitalization or lowercase. We just want regular looking words. And then we also want to trim space, the spacing that's between them. All right. So now we have a very interesting thing. So I am inclined to get rid of C, right? Because C is all my rotten stuff, right? It's not as refined as what. So I can delete this column if I want to. Uh-oh, what happened? Well, we were building off the formula from column C. So if we got rid of column C, we're going to have all long list of errors on there. So we definitely don't want to do that. So we have to deal with column C in some way, but what do we do? Well, the quickest way you can do it, if you're not too fancy about it, you can just hide it. So you have A, B, D, and that. So we know there's a column there, but we don't have to worry about it for the time being. So another way you could do that so you can take column D and copy it. You notice I got these little ants, if you will, marching around there. And if you go up to here to home and under paste, you notice you have a number of paste values that you can use. So what we can do is we can go here. Shall we do this one, the values? Sure. And there you go. So we pasted the values that are behind here and put them here as well. So at this point, if we wanted to delete column D, we could go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to leave that there for now and move forward with that. See, so you notice under column D, we have our original values listed here. Over here, we have just the we have the function here, pardon me, but over on column C, we have the values. So it's important to know that, the particular distinction. All right, so another way that we can look at material is find and replace. So if we look at, if we want to change the content of a particular column, what we can do is we'll select column D here. we're at the ribbon home page right here. We can go to find and select. And we can replace, what do we want to do? Well, we can replace oh, pardon me, I should actually be column. That's what I can do here. Delete this column. There we go. So I mentioned before that we had, we had hard rock, and then we have hard rock pop and hard rock blues and that sort of thing. So we could go in and type we could type in rock. We can do hard rock, and we can place it with rock and hard rock. Right, and we can replace all listed there. And this will tell you how many replacements were done there. So, I mean, that's a basic function. I think we've all used that, but it is another way that one can work through organizing particular entries that you have. All right, so our next step we want to do is we want to remove duplicates. It's another common problem that we have. So what I'm going to do is select A, or in this case, I'm just going to drag here. So I've selected that. And then we're going to go to remove duplicates. Where did you go, my friend? Oh. All right, where did you go? One of the problems I have with using Excel is that sometimes I get lost within here. So I'm looking for the remove. Gosh darn, I can't seem to find it. Well, that's interesting. Oh, okay. All right. That's very annoying. Okay, I'm going to move on from there. Let's see. So if I want to format this particular table, I can go to format as table. All right, where'd you go? I'm sorry, people, I'm having a little trouble here. All right, so here we are. So if I want to format this as a table, I'm under the home ribbon here. And if I go over here to format table, I now have a whole bunch of this. So right now I'm just looking at text within there, but I can always clean this up quite a bit. So I'm going to pick this. You're going to have a format as table button come up saying, giving you the range, and then you can just click on OK. So all of a sudden, it looks a lot better using this particular format. You'll also notice that there is a filter button that you can use. So you can do a lot of sorting. You can also do particular dates. So if I wanted to, if I select all, and let's say I just want to know about 1962, I can click on that. And it just gives me a list of that, of what that particular column entry has for 1962. So I'm just going to deselect that, and there you go, and we're back to that. There we go. Okay, so we can do that. If I want to change the name of this, I can change it to whatever. So I'm going to change this to album list as well right here. So there you go. So that's basically it for using this particular data set. Does anyone have any questions you want to ask? Just go ahead and unmute and you can ask. Okay. All right. All right. What we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the next data set. And I'm going to open this up. And we're going to import this particular text. And it gives us right away the file format extension of import text doesn't match. The file could be corrupted or unsafe, blah, blah, blah. It's not. So I'm going to go click on yes. And what we're getting is a basic TXT file that we can import here. So what we're asked a number of different things as we're going through here. So one is, how are you going to delimit the characters within here? And it gives you a preview of what it is that you're dealing with. So just taking a quick look, you can see there's spaces in between here and that. So we got to do some cleanup here. So we're going to do delimit, and we're going to do next. And the next question is, so what is it, how are we going to delimit everything in here? So we're going to select semicolon, and we're going to deselect tab. And the great thing is once we do that, we see that it more or less puts it in the proper columns going forward. So we're going to select next, and then finish. And so here we go. It doesn't look too bad. I'm just going to select these really quickly. Double click there. So it looks a little bit better what we're dealing with here. All right. So we want to insert a title row. So we're going to select row. Come here, you. There we go. And we're just going to take a second here and put in the employee name. The hire date. Salary. The department. And the job title. All right, so there we go. So what we want to do again is we want to remove the capitalization from column 1. So again, we go up here, we click on that. Next, we want to do is create another blank column. And we're going to type in proper. Oh. Oops, that's not what we wanted. I wanted 2. There we go. So there you go. We're basically doing what we did before. In this case, what we'll do just for fun is we're going to just hide column A for now. So I'm going to right click. And there we go. Employee name. Okay, so to format dates in column C, so we have quite a variety of dates here, dates listed here. And you'll notice, you know, it's kind of neat, these numbers here, 41297, I think they deal with some weird conception. I don't know when Excel was created or dating back to, I think it's the first day of 1900 or something like that. So anyway, it's really weird. So one thing you can worry about is the date. So if you wanted to go in and take a look and type in 01, 01, 1900, let's say in this spot here. Right, so if you have that listed there. And if you look under date, and if you selected general, you notice it took January 1st, 1900 and treated that as day 1. And that's what these numbers over here are listed as. So just a quirk I thought I'd point out to you. So what we want to select column D, this case, and we want to insert a column. So we want to go here and we want to type in value. We're going to do C2. Pick the wrong one. All right, we do this. And you'll notice it's reflected here. All right, so I'm going to take that. I'm going to go general. And then I'm going to scroll back down and use short date. So there's a short date. And then at this point, just double click the rest and there you go. So you take quite a variety of how the dates are inputted and make them uniform. Usually at this point in the workshop, I have you work with the particular columns and using this particular method and that, but I don't think we'll do that. So now we're sort of beginning to have a decent looking data set here. I'm going to take care of that. So I'll just hide that for now. So what we want to do for our next step, so we want to look at find and replace. So we're going to look at the department, and you'll notice it has capitalizations, it has short abbreviations, that sort of thing. So we want to make it a little bit more uniform. So what we can do is we can go up to find and select. I'm going to select this whole column here, find and select. All right, so if we do marketing here, okay, so copy in here and you can close. All right, let's see if I can do this. All right. So what you could do, another way you can do this if you want to use a particular function on a particular column, what you can do is that you can use the substitute function. So if you did this, you had substitute, and then you use proper, right? And you can do, in this case, F2. Whoops. comma, and then you can do MKTG for what we had previously. So we're looking for MKTG, and what we want to do is replace it with marketing. And of course, I want to use close parentheses. Oh, so that is not going to work, unfortunately. Okay. And I'm not too sure if we want to use that. Let's see, I will go down here. Oh, that's not going to work. Oh, all right. So somewhere along the line, I missed a step here. So I would recommend taking a look at the handout, and it'll show you how to do that exactly. So if you are, well, the last thing that you probably want to work on is, how do you separate data? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this up. I'm not going to save it. I'm going to open it up again. All right, so I'm going to delimit. And we're just going to leave it as tab, and we're going to see what happens here. So we just left it as tab, and we were getting everything that's sort of mushed together here. So we need to separate this particular data. So we want to separate the data in column A. So we have people's last name, we have people's first name. So what we need to do is create a separate column. So we have B here, and we have all this listed here. So we click on B1 in this particular case, and what we're going to do is we're going to use the find function. So we look at the find function. It's going to ask us, okay, what are you looking for? So we have to put that in quotes. Then we're going to use a comma, and then it's going to say, what is it that we want to look at? So in this case, A1, and then so what this shows is that it's the semicolon where the semicolon lives. So if you do this, this tells you where the semicolon is in each spot. So we're going to go to C1 right here, and we're going to type in length, actually LEN for length, and we're going to do A1, And this tells us for length how long the entire column is. And then what we want to do is copy this down. Right? So now we want to separate the names from the rest. So we'll click on D. And we're going to use the left function. And we're going to do A1, comma, B1, hyphen 1. Now let's see if this works. And it does, yay! So there you go. And that's how you can set up, build the way of pulling all these different items out of a particular row. So we're going to do this again, and this time we're going to do right. So at this point, I should recommend, since we're doing the left here, right, we can clean up right very quickly. We can go proper, then we want to end that. There we go. And there you go. You have the names in the proper way. So if we want to do putting the rest of the text in a different column, what we can do is we can select E1 right here. We can use the right function. We're going to select A1, our source material, comma C1, and hyphen, and then B1, that. So now we've taken the remainder of this and put it into a separate column. There you go. So that is a very simple way that you can do this particular one. Now, if you want to build on this, you can get really complicated. So what you can do is you can do proper left A1, comma, find, and then you want to wrap around the semicolons. Then you will want to look at A1. So you have that. Then the last thing you want to do is you want to use it -1. Just to make sure that everything fits. So let's see if that works. All right, so that is another way that you can do it to get the same result as D in this sense. So you have proper, you're looking at the left, A1, find A1, and looking for semicolon A1, and then anything minus where that is designated. All right. So if you wanted to separate the first name and the last name, you can use flash fill. So if you insert a column from column B, let's see if this works. And if you can do Juarez, oh, like that. If you go up to the ribbon data, it's not going to show it, is it? don't see flash fill here. Shoot. Anyway, yeah, that's not it. There is a function here that you can use, but I can't see it right now. So anyway, you can use that function and that will fill in the names as well. So that is essentially a quick and dirty way of looking at some of the different ways that you can work with your data getting started. As you can see through my demonstration, it takes practice to use a lot of these skills, and it does take quite a bit of effort, and you do have to use this stuff regularly. Otherwise, as you can see, you forget it. I'm a typical human being, I'll forget stuff. So it's really quite excellent what you can do with Excel. I should mention that I use, for my data cleaning needs, I use Open Refine. I just like it more. Pretty much straightforward. But you know, if you want to use Excel, that's definitely an option that you have. Regarding the handout, I've mentioned the source material where I'm getting the tutorial from Deb Ashby. She does a lot of Excel, working with Microsoft and that, and the data sets listed, as well as I put some additional resources there with regards to how to think about, you know, organizing your spreadsheets and that sort of thing. And also a really great resource called the SMART method. I highly recommend taking a look at that. The SMART method is very excellent. Their books and stuff, they have pictures that you can follow along. So it's actually quite detailed how you can get into it. So this is just an introduction here. I am gonna stop sharing at this point. Does anyone have any questions at this point? If you have any follow-up questions, well, if you want to have a conversation after the workshop or whatever, that's great. Do reach out to me if you do have data cleaning needs or questions, that sort of thing. Like I said, Excel, I'm stronger in Open Refine than I am in Excel, but we can still work on doing some basic data cleaning and all that. So, any questions? Okay, I don't see any hands going up. Okay, well, thank you very much, everyone. I really appreciate you coming. Like I said, I don't do these types of workshops too often working with the actual software. So my takeaway from this is spend a little more time practicing with the weird connections. Definitely the processes. If you skip one step in the process of trying to locate a function, then you really can't go further along with that. So. All right, well, thank you very much, everyone. And I thank you again for your patience as well. So once the video, the recording is available, I will send it to all of you. So thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Send it to me, please.
What's that?
Send me the video.
I will.
Thank you.
I'll send you the file. Thank you.
And then the manual too, the colored manual.
Yeah, yeah, I'll send you the handout too.
Oh.
I got multiple handouts. All right. Thank you.